Thank you very much, and thank you for indulging me on this. And I may take a little more time than I normally would, simply because I want to put the proper foundation around this to avoid any confusion about purpose. But I want to start, even though we're going to be talking about undergraduate education, I want to start with a reference to the other aspect of the university, one of the other aspects of research, and that I do recognize that undergraduate education, and I'm speaking really to the faculty now in particular, appears to get a vast majority of the attention of this group, largely through debates about tuition, budgets, various issues arising on campuses. But this university system of public research universities, each with its brand and international standing, each with its respective strengths, together with bringing in over $4 billion to the California economy every year, dollars that buy services, create jobs, and support research contributing to the welfare of our people in sometimes unimaginable ways through medicine's technology and discoveries, cannot be overlooked and should not be overlooked. I do not want us or the public to forget that. Certainly the unique access to being part of a high-quality research institution as part of an undergraduate education cannot be overlooked. But more importantly, research is a formal charge to this set of institutions and critical to the state and the world, and graduate education plays an equal part. With this in mind, Committee Chair Reese has agreed to put a review of both university research and undergraduate and graduate education on the agenda for future Education Policy Committee meetings. Now to the undergraduate education issue. In the introduction to a recent project report on the role of trustees in higher education, Benno Schmidt, chair of the project, former president of Yale, and chair of the Board of Trustees of the City University of New York, wrote the following: multiple studies suggest that despite massive expenditures, many of America's college graduates are not leaving school prepared for community or career. Substantial numbers of recent college graduates lack a fundamental understanding of their history and heritage. Many suffer from vast gaps in their skills and knowledge and are ill-equipped to compete in the fast-moving global economy. This is a national issue. In this context, undergraduate education, he and the report state, trustees need to bring a renewed, vigorous commitment to learning about and understanding the academic enterprise. They must, going forward, require for themselves professional development, continuing education, and accountability. All the more difficult for us as we sit as a holding company, essentially, for 10 great universities. As the Provost has said, I've spoken about the exercise summarized in this agenda item with Regent Reese, President Napolitano, Provost Dorr, and Faculty Representative Gilly, and they're supportive. The process and presentations will go to a better understanding of undergraduate education within the university and in general. Now, recently we have heard various calls for more online learning, shorter times to degree, and more efficient delivery methods for bachelor's degrees. Such institutions as the Public Policy Institute of California have said that the state needs to, quote, produce 1 million more degrees than currently projected by 2025. The choice of the word produce seeming to equate a degree to an automobile or a refrigerator. Whether it is time to degree, or method of delivery, or number of degrees, the underlying question is really this: to what purpose? What is the meaning of the undergraduate degree? What are we trying to achieve? We have quite properly delegated the authority to this question to the faculty of the university through a delegation of the curriculum. This delegation, together with the constitutional independence of this board, is widely credited with contributing to the creation of the greatest public research university system in the world. So, if we have properly delegated this task to the faculty, what then should be our role as regents of the university and representatives of the people of California with respect to undergraduate education? It seems to me it is to ask of our faculty, as with all delegations of responsibility, what was the goal or goal you sought? What did you decide as the means or curriculum to meet the goals, and how did you decide? Finally, it is to ask the question, how are we doing? It is also, as the Schmidt Report urges, to educate ourselves more deeply regarding the history, movements, and debates about undergraduate education in the nation and world today, and to provide perspective and context to our role as regents. For while we have properly delegated responsibility for curriculum to the faculty, that delegation does not relieve us of the ultimate responsibility to students and the citizens of California for the health of undergraduate education. That is why in 1980, the Regents adopted Regents Policy 2107, first strongly reaffirming the delegation of responsibility for curriculum to the faculty, but also second, requiring regular reports to the Board of Regents regarding the status of undergraduate education. It is also why Recommendation 5 of the Commission on the Future called for periodic assessment of undergraduate education. As one campus provost said to me, being an educated person has changed dramatically over time. It appears to be a balance of what society asks and what some believe society requires at a given time. You and we, he said, have a continuing responsibility to ask how well we have aligned the needs of the students and the needs of society. In 1910, by which time Berkeley was already recognized as one of the nation's top universities, the general education curriculum, which had to be done in 2 years, required, among other things, a reading of either French or German, a course in military science, 18 units of either Greek or Latin, and, thankfully, a course in hygiene. 50 years later, by 1970, or 60 years later, 70, things had changed greatly. And 50 years from then, now things have changed again. There is no more important time to ask the questions raised in this item. With declining state funding, increases in tuition, rising debt, and changes in demographics, among many other things, we have also entered an age where information itself is more immediately available. We have more educating means and institutions than ever before, some for-profit, some not-for-profit, and some online. Along with private research institutions, state universities, private colleges, the public research university sits alone as simply one of many means of post-secondary learning. Within this context, a debate continues between what Schmidt describes as education for career or education for community, what others describe as public good versus private good, and whether we are meeting either of these. In discussions with the President, Provost Dorr, and Faculty Representative Gilley, we envision a series of presentations with other written materials, so that you're not completely bored by this, that provide some history, summarize the national debate, and cover the process by which goals and curricula are decided by the faculty and the means by which the goals are met, quality is defined, assessed, and assured. As noted, the first presentation in March will be organized by Chancellor Dirks and the chair of the Berkeley Academic Senate in coordination with others. While the item states it will focus on the current undergraduate initiative of Berkeley, I think this probably is the cart before the horse. Chancellor Dirks will also focus on historical context, and there will be an outline for future presentations. We do not see this as a project of the Office of the President, although the President has agreed to give whatever support may be required. Rather, it should be in the hands of the faculty through campus provosts primarily, and perhaps support from others outside the university. Now, we recognize that this is not a simple matter. The undergraduate degree means different things in different disciplines. These are often questions decided by at the department level. Our campuses review the curriculum on a regular basis, and these questions are being asked regularly, although perhaps not always in a fully integrated way. One of my colleagues asked me quite fairly, what will we do with the information when we get it? Well, we are not precluded from asking questions, of course. And in fact, we have a responsibility to ask questions. We are the recognized formal connection between society and this set of institutions. It should certainly not get us into curriculum decisions. That would be a terrible mistake, and it is not the intention. But like all learning, we store it in our minds, hold it in our bellies. We should think of ourselves as continuing founders, ultimately responsible, holding accountable those to whom we delegate, whether the President, the CFO, or the faculty. And when other issues or questions arise, we have, and we will share together, a fuller context for decisions. Do I worry that this exercise may be understood by the media as, quote, Regents to get into curriculum, implying that we are going to be recommending courses or something of the like? Maybe a little, but I have greater faith that we'll be seen as doing our job. Do I worry that it will be misunderstood by the faculty? A little, but those to whom I've spoken welcome the inquiry, and I have great confidence in the discipline of this board and its commitment to faculty prerogatives here. Do I understand that so much of this is delegated to departments and disciplines pursued separately through each campus, making it nearly impossible to get a complete understanding of disciplinary pressures and campus politics? Yes. And I hope department heads and others will listen to the presentations and discussions and consider what may be valuable and what may be not valuable. In conclusion, let me just say there is a national debate going on the value as well as the cost of an undergraduate degree. And as Regents, we need to hear that debate more directly and be a part of it. Thanks.